What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Monday, June 1st, 2026, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 1812 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East. So it looks like Iran has backed out of peace talks with the United States. So, as you guys probably know, Trump has been basically begging Iran to surrender, and now Iran is basically giving Trump the middle finger and backing out of peace talks after we have bent over backwards to try to please them. So, this is an absolute humiliation to the U.S. and the Trump administration. Let me just share some of the details. So Iran has halted indirect message exchanges with the United States through mediators in protest over what Iran described as Israeli operations in Lebanon and Gaza. Tasnim News, which is the Iranian government news agency, says Iran and allied resistance groups are considering responses, including a possible blockade of the Strait of Hormuz and activation of additional fronts, including the Bab al-Mandeb Strait. So that's near Yemen. Okay, so very concerning. And let me read to you what Iran's foreign ministry said. So they said the U.S. and Israel have repeatedly violated the ceasefire since it was declared on March 19th, including attacks on Iranian commercial shipping, violation of Lebanese sovereignty, and displacement of millions of Lebanese civilians. Iran holds the U.S. directly responsible for ceasefire violations in both Iran and Lebanon. Iran warns of the dangerous consequences of these violations and reserves the right to defend itself by all means wherever necessary. Okay, so they want Lebanon to be included in the peace deal, and the Trump administration has not included Lebanon in the ceasefire or the peace deal. So, wow, very serious news today. I do expect the stock market to collapse and oil prices to go back up again. And Trump commented on this news earlier this afternoon. He said that he doesn't care that Iran suspended talks. And he said that it doesn't necessarily mean that the U.S. is going to start an immediate attack on Iran, but he said that the U.S. will maintain continued pressure against them through the blockade. And we're hearing that Trump toughened the terms of a potential framework for a deal to end the war in Iran and sent those proposed changes back to Iran for consideration over the weekend, according to 3 officials. So that was Friday. The Trump administration sent their response to Iran's proposal, and basically Trump toughened his stance, okay? So guys, this is just like spinning the wheels over and over. It's just a broken record, the same thing nonstop for the last few months, okay? There's not going to be any peace deal, and it makes me wonder if this whole crisis with Iran is not engineered by the elites, and Trump is just a puppet doing what he's being told to do, which is to jack up world oil prices and create a global economic collapse. Okay, when you think about it, COVID didn't work the way they intended it to, and now they're suddenly spiking the oil prices. So, you know, it looks like they want to collapse the world economy. So we'll have to wait and see, but just get prepared, guys, because it's not looking good. And the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Israel Katz are now leaning toward approving significant strikes across Lebanon within the next 24 hours, following a series of security consultations, according to Israel's Channel 14. The plan would reportedly include evacuation warnings for hundreds of thousands of civilians in Lebanon and be coordinated with the U.S. So Israel's planning a massive strike on Lebanon. There's already footage coming out of these evacuations in Lebanon. I'm going to show you that, okay? But it looks like Israel knows that this is a surefire way to collapse any peace talks, is to launch a big attack on Lebanon that would surely destroy any chances of peace. And Israel's Channel 12 said Israel postponed the Beirut attacks that were scheduled for today after U.S. intervention. Apparently, Trump called Netanyahu and asked him to back down, with Washington trying to prevent the collapse of Israeli-Lebanese talks scheduled for tomorrow. And Iranian media has published a notice from the Iranian armed forces stating that if Israel will bomb Beirut, then Iran will carry out retaliatory strikes on northern Israel. So this is very serious, guys. This could all pop off this week as soon as tomorrow, after those talks in Lebanon are over. It could all pop off after the talks. Israel's going to launch massive attacks on Beirut, and then that's going to set Iran off and push Iran over the edge, and they're going to launch a massive missile attack on Israel, and then it's back to war again. But I will be covering everything live, and don't forget about my 24/7 live stream, so you can get up-to-date information from my wonderful mods throughout the day. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Israel Katz say they ordered the IDF to strike Hezbollah targets in Beirut's Dahieh district due to repeated ceasefire violations in Lebanon and attacks on Israeli cities and civilians, according to a joint statement. So that was the one that was supposed to happen today, and that was canceled. But they still approved a massive strike on Lebanon, and there are evacuations underway. So it looks like just a temporary pause in these strikes to allow for diplomacy tomorrow. But I don't think Israel's going to halt these strikes. They want to get rid of Hezbollah, and I don't blame them, because listen, guys, I know a lot of people out there blame Israel, and Israel's so bad, you know, they're the worst. But yeah, Israel's not the one chopping babies' heads off, okay, like Hezbollah or Hamas or any of these other places, you know, these countries and these militant groups, okay? I don't feel sorry for Hezbollah. I don't feel sorry for Iran. I don't feel sorry for Hamas. These are scumbag terrorists, and whatever happens to them, I don't feel sorry, okay? They're not innocent people. These are evil, sick human beings, okay? Satanic human beings, and I'm sorry, but you know, I don't feel any sympathy for them. I don't feel sorry, okay? And we're hearing just in the last hour or two, Hezbollah has launched several rockets into northern Israel. Okay, so it's not just Israel that's attacking Lebanon. Hezbollah's been attacking Israel too. All right, so everyone's just blaming Israel, but look what Hezbollah's doing, okay? And the UN Security Council is holding an emergency meeting to discuss Lebanon, according to diplomatic sources. And British Airways has canceled its flights to Israel through October 24th. Wow. So that's joining a bunch of other flights, including Air France, I think American Airlines, I think some other, I can't remember what other country it was. Okay, they canceled all their flights basically to the Middle East through the rest of the year. So it's not getting any better, regardless of what Trump says, regardless of what the media says. Okay, this is a ticking time bomb in the Middle East. It's a ticking time bomb. And right now, nobody's really thinking about it because summer is starting and the weather's getting nice and people want to enjoy their lives. Listen, I want to enjoy my life too, and I have been, okay? But you can't just tune out completely. This is a ticking time bomb, okay? Get prepared. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video. And U.S. Central Command says they conducted self-defense strikes on Iranian radar and command and control sites in Iran and the Keshem Island over the weekend in response to them shooting down a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone. So they've shot down like, I don't know how many dozens of drones already, okay? And then here's an official article here. It says U.S. Central Command conducted self-defense strikes on Iranian radar and command and control sites for drones in Garuk, Iran, and Keshem Island this weekend. The measured and deliberate strikes occurred on Saturday and Sunday in response to aggressive Iranian actions that included the shootdown of a U.S. MQ-1 drone that was operating over international waters. So it's a surveillance drone, sorry, not an MQ-9, MQ-1. The U.S. fighter aircraft swiftly responded by eliminating Iranian air defenses, a ground control station, and 2 one-way attack drones that posed clear threats to ships transiting regional waters, okay? And apparently, Iran responded by launching missiles back at the U.S. The U.S. released a statement saying last night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. forces successfully intercepted 2 Iranian ballistic missiles targeting American forces in Kuwait. These missiles were immediately defeated, and no American personnel were harmed. Okay, so listen, guys, this may not sound popular to a lot of you, okay, but if Biden was president right now and he was doing this, people would be going nuts and be like, oh, look at Biden, he's such a sissy, he's letting Iran walk all over us. But Trump basically is doing the same thing that Biden was doing with Iran, okay, just afraid to finish the job, afraid to strike. And look at the mess we're in now. We got oil prices skyrocketing, okay, and no end in sight, all right? So, you know, that's just the cold, hard truth. If you don't like it, I don't care, okay? This is the truth, all right? If Biden was president now and he was doing what Trump is doing, people would be going nuts. They'd be pissed off, you know, but Trump can do it, and it's okay. And just want to let you guys know, I'm a lifelong Republican. Registered Republican since I was 18 years old. I'm a conservative. I'm a libertarian. Okay, and I'm not afraid to call people out when they're wrong. And Trump is wrong. He's screwing everything up with our oil. And Iran launched a missile at a U.S.-linked oil tanker earlier today, the MSC Sariska. Apparently, they launched a cruise missile. Okay, so Iran launching missiles at one of our bases that had to be shot down by one of our air defenses. Okay, directly launching missiles at one of our bases again. They did it a week ago. Then they hit one of our tankers with a cruise missile. You know, and what's Trump doing about it? Nothing, okay? He's behaving the same way as Biden. There's like no difference between the way he's behaving and how Biden behaved, okay? Trying to tell Israel to not strike Hezbollah, okay? Trump had to call Netanyahu and tell him to stop striking Hezbollah. That's exactly what Anthony Blinken and Biden were doing. There's literally no difference at all, okay? And all the strikes that Trump did on Iran, they didn't really do much, okay? Iran still has all their missiles. They still have all their nuclear material. So what did we do? We wasted thousands of missiles. We depleted half of our stockpile of critical interceptor missiles for air defenses that you can't replace overnight. Takes, you know, years to rebuild that. And what did we do? Nothing. We didn't strike anything important. Yeah, we killed the leader, but his son just took over. And then other than that, we blew up some 50-year-old fighter jets that barely fly anyway. and then Trump was bragging about it. I mean, just such a disaster, okay? And if you don't like it, I don't care. And the Iranian Navy claims responsibility for a cruise missile strike on the MSC Sariska, describing it as retaliation for a U.S. military attack on the Iranian vessel Lian Star in the Oman Sea. The IRGC called the MSC Sariska American Zionist-owned and warned that any further U.S. aggression in the region will be met with a decisive response, okay? Wow. And Iran has unblocked 50 of 69 tunnel entrances that were blocked by U.S. and Israeli strikes at underground missile sites, according to CNN analysis of satellite imagery of the facilities. So basically 2/3 of all these places that we bombed have now been unblocked. Very concerning. And what you're looking at here is video footage of U.S. Aircraft in Ben Gurion International Airport in Israel. You can see a large number of aerial refuelers sitting at Ben Gurion. They were supposed to move these to Europe, which it's very interesting that they're still there. Maybe they didn't move all of them back. I don't know. It's just really bizarre what's going on here. And the U.S. said that American forces in recent weeks have helped coordinate the passage of dozens of commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz, according to U.S. officials, even as travel through the waterway remains risky amid stalled negotiations to end the war with Iran. U.S. Central Command guided around 70 commercial ships through the strait, traveling into and out of the Persian Gulf in the last 3 weeks. One of the officials said, speaking on condition of anonymity, before the U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran in late February, well over 100 commercial ships a day passed through the Strait of Hormuz. So the U.S. coordinated passages, an average of 3 ships a day over 3 weeks, does not represent a big comeback, okay? So Trump administration bragging, yeah, we got 100 ships to pass over the last month. Great. That's how much used to pass every single day, okay? That's nothing, all right? And the U.S. F-15E Strike Eagle shot down over southwestern Iran in April was likely struck by a Chinese-made shoulder-launched missile, 3 people familiar with the matter said. And how stupid, Trump going over to China to kiss Xi Jinping's ass, and meanwhile they're shooting down our fighter jets using Chinese-made missiles in Iran, okay? We just look so stupid. The French foreign minister said the Strait of Hormuz lies within international waters and must be opened and its passage ensured without payments or fees. He said opening the Strait of Hormuz is a top priority because we have no intention of continuing to pay the price for a war that is not our war. Well, that's great. France talking tough, but hopefully they actually do something about it, okay? They do have an aircraft carrier that they moved to the Arabian Sea, so hopefully they can start trying to open it, but I don't think they will. And Oman's Maritime Security Center urges vessels to exercise caution due to a floating object suspected to be a naval mine west of the inshore traffic zone in the Strait of Hormuz within Omani territorial waters. So we got a random mine floating around in the Strait of Hormuz. And here we have some footage coming out of Lebanon. You can see all these vehicles here piling up. Massive evacuations. We're hearing that the Lebanon government has declared evacuation of hundreds of thousands of people. They've blocked off downtown Beirut because that's where Israel's going to be striking probably tomorrow night after the peace talks are over, okay? So it's going to escalate soon, guys, very, very soon. And Iran signaled that it is sticking to its original position in nuclear talks with no major concessions expected, continuing to reject key U.S. demands, including handing over highly enriched uranium stockpiles and changes to its core nuclear policy. So Iran is not backing down All right, and wanted to just update you guys on Ukraine. So if you remember last week, the Russians were planning a massive attack on Ukraine. I reported about it, and that was when the Russians told all foreign diplomats and foreigners to leave Ukraine because they were going to conduct a big attack on decision-making centers. Well, it looks like we have new intelligence coming in from Ukrainian sources that Russia is planning a massive attack, possibly tonight, with bombers, missiles, and drones, potentially 24 bombers. This would be the largest attack on Ukraine since the start of the war. Okay, and if it does go down, I will be going live and covering it live. Zelensky put out a statement telling people to pay attention to air raid alerts. He said it's very important and to make sure to go to shelters. And we actually have footage coming out of Ukraine of people already going into subways, underground metros here in Kyiv. This is Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. People are already piling up in the metros in anticipation of the strikes tonight. So very, very serious. And earlier this morning, Ukraine attacked another Russian oil facility. They hit the Lazarevo oil pipeline pumping station. The facility was a key node on the Russian network that moves oil from Siberia to the Black and Baltic Sea export terminals, so cutting off some oil flow from Siberia to the warm water ports of the Black Sea and the Baltic Sea. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be covering the Ukraine air attack tonight live. So tune into my live stream later on tonight. I know I've been a little bit lackadaisical with my live streams lately. I've honestly just taken it slow the month of May because I got married and I wanted to just kind of take a little short sabbatical and kind of refresh and reset. But I will be back to my normal schedule starting this week, starting tonight. I will be covering that. So until later on, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 P's: prepare, practice, and persevere. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is Matt Hat Jerky. Guys, if you're a beef jerky lover like myself, you got to try Matt Hat Jerky. This is the best beef jerky I've ever had. I personally met the owner of this company at SHOT Show, and he's actually local to Pennsylvania. This company has an interesting story behind it. He founded this company when he was 11 years old. Yeah, that's right, 11 years old. He's now 19, and he makes gourmet beef jerky, the best jerky I've ever had. He's got over a dozen different flavors, and it's all sourced with U.S. beef. So no foreign beef, no nitrates, and no MSG. So it's all natural American beef jerky. And if you use my promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And you got to go to matthatjerky.com. And I'm going to leave a link in the description down below. That's matthatjerky.com. One word, matthatjerky.com. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off your entire order. And the link and the promo code are in the description down below.